All right, we're live. So, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Blake Connor, nutrition coach.
Hmm.
For those of you who have seen, either Coach's Corner or my other podcast, The Doctor's In, our good friend Dr. Racco put us in touch a while back, and I think we were in different places when we were first talking. I think you were really trying to focus, on building your, nutrition brand. You were really into, promoting your Instagram, that whole thing. I had just gotten into teaching, so I really wanted to focus on that. Now that I've been in that for a year, now I'm starting to branch out again. So I was just like, hey, Rocco, put me in touch with Blake again. All right.
Yeah, man.
So here we
Yeah,
are.
yeah, and you're exactly right. Yeah, I do remember that. It was like I'm into this right now, and yeah, man, it's been a lot's changed in a year. So I'm excited to
Yeah,
share
yeah,
all of
you can
that as
say
well.
that, right?
But yeah, man, I mean, as an introduction, really what I do is multifaceted to say the least. It's hard to kind of exactly nail one thing. Um, Most of my background is within the realm of strength conditioning training, as well
Sure.
as a huge focus on nutrition and health. Uh, you know, I went through, got my bachelor's in nutrition, didn't pursue dietitian route because I didn't want to work in a clinical setting. That just
Sure.
wasn't what I wanted to do. And so from there, I went down the path, got CSCS certified, started coaching athletes, started coaching general population, and then eventually landed at a CrossFit gym. And so within that gym, I was able to really be like the nutrition guy there. I was
Nice.
able to help a ton of people while in that position, and really get really good at coaching all types of different people. And so eventually got to the point where it's like, why am I not doing this on my own? I'm having such
Mhm.
success here. And so since then, I've left that job and currently coaching online. So that's also been its own journey in
Dude, we
itself.
are we are like on the voyage of like the online coach, the online teacher, the online everything. So I think you got in before it was almost mandated.
Yeah, and it's been tough. It's definitely something that has a low barrier of entry,
Sure.
um, but whether you keep doing it or not takes a certain type of like grit and tough skin, because there's so many people doing it. If you don't stand out, like, it doesn't matter. Um, so yeah, man, jumped into that. I started with doing some one-on-one stuff, macronutrients,
Okay.
very, very simple. And eventually that has evolved immensely over time. And now it is primarily, I didn't plan it to be a women's only group, but that was all
Okay.
who signed up for it.
It's
But
funny how things just evolve in certain ways, right?
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
eventually it got to the point where it's a program called Learn to Eat. That was just
Okay.
the most simple name I could come up with. It's a 90-day program. It's in a group format, and it's also released as like a kind of like a college course. There's modules to it.
Okay.
And so basically they go through the content, they follow along, and then each week we do a group call with everyone in the group, and each person essentially gets about 15, 20 minutes to share what they need help with, or if they're struggling, and we really just tie up any loose ends.
Okay.
And so it's been a great time in that program, but it's more than just macros or anything. We do teach those things,
Mhm.
but the first month that we're in this program, I'm teaching them proper goal setting. I'm teaching them language and word usage, what they're speaking into existence.
Okay.
And we also work a ton on like affirmations, a lot of the stuff that some people may call like woo woo and out there,
Or
but
may
it
not even
works.
like attribute to like a nutrition coach like at all,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, man. They
Yeah.
they they very often hit me with we're about a little over halfway through with the second class, and I get asked at the beginning, like, I thought this was a nutrition program. Why aren't we talking about nutrition? And it's like, trust me, we'll get there.
Mhm.
And that has been huge, because a lot of the focus that we do is finding the root causes of these problems. Why are you overeating? Why do you have emotional issues with your food? What is your relationship with food? And those things are never focused on, and that tends to be, in my experience, the biggest problem. You can slap someone with a meal plan or a template, but that's not going to fix that they hate themselves, right?
Yeah.
Seriously, and
Yeah.
it's heavy, and so we just build that foundation there, get more in touch with ourselves, what we're trying to actually accomplish here, and then we go forward. I don't tell anyone you're going to lose a certain amount of weight. It's
Sure.
really, hey, this is for 5 years in the future, is what it is.
And something similar, I always like to bring things back to my own experiences with clients and training. Like, you can never, make a promise to anyone of, all right, we're going to lose 10 pounds. We're going to, gain 15 pounds on your bench. Like, because you don't really know, one, how, the program or what the other person's bringing to the table and how these things affect them, what their journey is going to be. Like, maybe they do drop 5 pounds, like within the first month. Maybe they gain a couple pounds back. We don't know what's going on in that background. And like I said, everyone's a little bit different. And just because one thing works one certain way for someone doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work that same exact way for someone else. So I think bringing that kind of, I can't make a promise, but I can help get you where you need to be, like that kind of mentality and that aspect to it. I think that's one, I think it's smart on your part. And then two, I think it's also better for the client once they actually understand that we're not getting driven by like numbers here, but we're just getting driven by like overall results, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. And it's interesting too because I from the get go set very, very, I guess rigid would be a good word for it,
Mm-hmm.
boundaries around the program of, your journey may be totally different than this person next to you because you may, have more crap to deal with than
Sure.
they do. You may have more work to do, and that's okay. This isn't a race. There's not a time stamp on progress. And with that being said, we set standards. It's like, hey, this is what's expected of me, and then
Mm-hmm.
here's your responsibility as a client. As a coach, I am here to answer your questions. I am going to show up for these calls, excited to hear what you have to say, all of these things. You, it's as a client, your responsibility is to go through the content, is to ask me questions. I'm not going to beg you to ask me questions.
Yeah.
And
But it's
also,
beneficial, right?
yeah, I will tell them like you get your money's worth if you
Yeah,
ask me questions, and setting the standard that you have responsibility, and that the results you get are dependent on your ownership of that responsibility.
absolutely. Yeah, and look, I mean, I think that again, that goes with anything that you're dedicating yourself to. I mean, you need to put the onus on yourself. You can't have other people want it. Rocco and I actually talked about this when it comes to just overall. We'll take health, just overall the overall umbrella of health. And something that he said or I said, I forget who said it, but we agreed. Um, you can't want health for someone else, right? You have to
Mm-mm.
want it for yourself. Okay, like you can have people say, "Hey, like you know what, you really need to lose weight, or you need to, go see a doctor, or go do this, go do that." People can tell you what you should do, until you're blue in the face, until they're blue in the face. If you're not going to do anything, if you don't want to do anything, even if you try, but you're not into it, you're not going to follow through. And I think, again, it's a great concept for you to have this built in structure to where, look, I'm going to give you what you need to do, but it's also on you to follow through. Otherwise, I can't help you. And I've actually let clients go who have, they've come in and they expect me to like snap my fingers and work these miracles and like now you're stronger, you drop 10% body fat and your knee doesn't hurt anymore. So it's like I can't do that, especially I can help you get there, but I also need a little bit in return. I see you for 2 hours a week. What are you doing, the other however many hours is left in that week? Like if I'm working, I can bust your butt for an hour on a Monday, and then if you're leaving the gym and grabbing a Big Mac and washing it down with a milkshake, like we're kind of counterproductive there. So
Right.
I think it's great that you have this structure where there is that give and take, and I'm sure you have a flexibility to it because you just said, everyone's different, and everyone's road's different, and everyone's dealing with different shit. So, the fact that you have that flexibility, but it's also has a, I don't want to say rigid, but a structure to it
Yeah.
allows what's the almost like a dependability, or at least an accountability. That's the word. It brings accountability on their part to the table, and I think that's great.
Yeah, yeah. There is that point of, hey, um, it's okay if you're not progressing this fast or as fast as the other people. Uh,
Sure.
it's your responsibility to bring those concerns to the forefront, to me, even to ask me questions about it. Hey, this isn't going as well as I thought. Like, even that's their responsibility. Otherwise, I'll still be asleep at night and not really concerned about it, because it's uh, I'm doing my part of providing, guiding, answering questions,
Sure.
supporting, and it's, again, there's that responsibility component of, like, even if things feel like they're not going well, you're responsible for letting me know. Otherwise, I have no idea.
Yeah, because then you can't do it, right? You're not there with them. Like,
Mhm.
no, that's cool. So, and now look, I don't want you to like give away your secrets or anything, but so you said
There
you
are no
said.
there are no secrets.
All right, well, good to know. So you said you start off like it's almost like this unloading sort of thing right in the beginning, right? It's more about dealing with your own stressors, having these affirmations, this positive mindset that you're pushing forward, that you want to be present while we're doing all this. So what's like what then goes to the next step? Like, do you have clients like bring in like a food log? Do they break down their diets, that stuff? Do you kind of go through stuff with them? Is it more of a, all right, here's kind of what I'm going to recommend for you? How does that kind of work?
Yeah, so what's cool about it is that I do allow for some flexibility to a
Sure.
unique situation, and I really do put effort into providing multiple tools for that person. Everyone's going to use one tool better than the other. Like, to say that everyone is going to be able to take all of these things and use them within the 90 days is not true.
Mhm.
It takes mastery. So typically we go through that 4 weeks. We spend a lot of time, like, getting heavy in some deeper stuff. Like,
Sure.
hey, like, people tell me some things. I'm like, oh wow, like, that's heavy, and I have to, I accept that, and I hold space for that. Then we move into very simple uh, nutrition concepts. I've created 3 pillars that they can do them all on their own, or you put all 3 together, and it's great synchronicity. But that is eating primarily whole foods. So
Okay.
between 80-85% of your foods are vegetables, fruits, meats that it could be frozen depending on what your
Mhm.
financial status is, whatever. Just something that hasn't been really processed. And then you
Sure.
can have
Not out of a
15-20.
bag, essentially, right?
Exactly. And then you can have your 15-20% be some treats or
Hmm.
something that you purposely bought for yourself because you love it.
Yeah.
Then we have the concept of eating a higher protein diet. Like, we just know that works. We know that if you eat more protein, it's going to keep you satiated. It's going to build muscle. It's going to help you to burn more calories. It burns more calories to eat it.
Mhm.
It's going to help you lose weight. Also, the last one, the third, is a calorie balance. We know that a deficit or a surplus works. And so these are just 3 proven things. Like, you can't go wrong with them. There's no point in getting fancy with them or making it super technical, because when, if, can we curse on here?
Go ahead, man.
Okay. For a
Yeah.
lack of better words, when shit hits the fan, you can fall back on those things
Absolutely.
every single time. You can do just one of them. For most of these people, they don't have a lot of experience besides the MLMs that they've gone through and done with nutrition. So for me, it's like, hey, focus on your protein intake, or go to the store and buy real groceries. I
Mhm.
literally challenge them with writing their own grocery list, going to the store, showing me a picture of it to see what they got. And they're like happy. They're like, look, coach, look what I bought at the
Yeah.
store. And it's great though, because they're having to do things. They're not
Sure.
just given something like, just take the supplement or take this meal replacement shake and you're going to lose weight. They're having to do real life things to implement these principles. And so as they go through, we get a little more specific. I do bring macros into the equation.
Mhm.
Um, but it's really just a, like, hey, when you're ready thing.
Sure.
Um, but protein and the whole foods, like, I've seen so many people make tremendous progress just by doing that. And, when we start talking about calories, the way I explain it is more so like a make sure you're doing this for the right reasons thing versus you have to count your calories. More
Sure.
so like, hey, understand that it matters, but it's not everything. And
Hmm.
so that was my personal addition to that because I've been overly specific before and it sucks.
Yeah, and
And so,
it could be totally overwhelming too, especially if you have to pay attention to every single minute detail. And I think how you're going about this is, brilliant because people can't change a bunch of different things at once, even though they think they can. And which is why, and ask Rocco, I trash New Year's resolutions all the time. I think it's the
yeah,
stupidest tradition that we do because people can't overhaul their entire life in one day. First of all, January 1st, you're probably hungover. You're not doing anything good for yourself anyway. So that's a wasted day. So now we're starting on January 2nd. Like, you can't change everything all at once. Like, I'm going to go, I haven't been in the gym or I haven't like eaten a piece of broccoli since March of last year. I'm not going to start January 2nd and overhaul everything. You might do it for a couple weeks, but you burn out, right? You can't do everything at once. So I think I wanted to make 2 points here because I like two things that you said. One, the small changes and focusing just on one specific thing. Focusing on real food. Like, that's something everyone can do. You can
hmm
walk down a grocery aisle and you can say, all right, here's a bag of Cheetos, not real food. Here's chicken cutlet. Okay, like, I can see the difference. Like, that's an easy thing to do, and I think everyone can do that. And the second thing I wanted to make is, or the second point I wanted to make is, you said you give them the list, they send you the picture. That right there, I always preach to any client that I work with: write things down because it makes it real and it makes you accountable. Now you
hmm
see it, you have this list, you're checking it off as you put the stuff in your cart. So now you have to do it. And if you skip something, then you're just like, it's there, staring you right in the face. Just like if I said, all right, we're doing squats, bench, and we're gonna finish with I don't know, like walking lunges, and at the end, and if I'm thinking it in my head, I can just be like, oh well, all right, I did the squats, that's legs, right? I did my bench, but I already did squats. I can skip the walking lunges today. But if it's written down, if it's in your phone, if it's in your log or your paper, now it's there saying, like, I'm right here. Do them, damn it. Like,
yeah,
so I think you got a great system with that. I think it's awesome. I love the accountability, and it sounds like you're getting a lot of like positive feedback, the excitement, and I think that's